Today I will be showing you how to make this baby T-Rex, and you'll need about 200 single rubber bands. So let's get started. Let's make his teeth. You're going to need a total of 8. I've made 7. I'm going to make one with you. On your loom, taking a single rubber band, white preferably, put it on one hook and cross it over to the next and cross it back and loop it back up to the first peg. Taking your hook and you're going to loop the bottom band right over the peg and onto the center, creating your knot for your teeth. And you'll have to pause the video to make a total of 8, like that. So come back when you're done. Let's make the hind legs. Taking 2 single rubber band, I'm making gray, and put it from the first peg to the second peg, and another 2 from the second to the third. To make the thigh thicker, you're taking 2 single rubber bands and put it to the side peg, like that, from the first to the second in the middle. Now taking 2 single rubber bands, I'm going to twist to double it and connecting it on the side peg from the third to the fourth, and repeat 2 single, double from the fourth to the fifth peg. Taking 3 single rubber bands, coming from the fifth to the sixth. And now let's make some little claws for him. You can make it on the hook or the loom. I'll make it on the loom so you can see how it's done. Taking a single, twist, double, and we'll do this 3 times. Single, twist, double. For each claw, we're doing it twice, like that. Single, double, and I'll do it 3 times. Single, double, single, double, taking a single white, and we're going to loop each end of the 3 claws twice to create 3 loops. Once again, taking a single rubber band and just looping it a total of 3 times to cap it off, like that. Now you're going to go under the cap band, grab the bottom 2 single, and loop up and onto itself. And we are going to repeat that for all 3. Taking the ends off. And getting your loops on your hook, and we are attaching it to our foot. Attaching all 3 on that end peg. The claws are on. The claws are on, and now we are going to go under that last peg, grab the bottom 3 rubber bands, and we are going to very carefully loop it up and onto itself. And just continue up twice to the 3rd peg. Now in the 3rd peg, we want to grab the bottom 2 bands and release any tension if your rubber band's stuck. And we are going to connect our thigh, so pull it to the side peg and loop up the rest. Take it off your loom. And I'm going to put it aside to add to my body later. And you can leave it on the hook or a pencil or something you're using to hold your parts, but you can just also leave it like that. Take it apart and leave it and put it aside. You'll have to make a total of 2 hind legs. So pause the video and come back when you're done. Now let's make the front arms, taking 2 single rubber bands coming from the first to the second peg, taking a single twist double, connecting it, doing it one more time. And again, you'll have to pause the video to make the second arm. I already made one. Now we're going to make the claw the same way as the back foot. I'm going to do it on the hook this time, and you can do it on the loom if you want. So on the hook, I'm taking my white and looping it twice to create 3 loops, taking a single, twist, double, and pulling the loops right onto my hook. And I'm doing that twice. Single, twist, double, and getting the loop right onto my hook, like that. The second claw, same thing, taking a single white and looping it twice to create 3 loops, taking a single, twist, double, and pulling the claw. Single, twist, double. And we only need 2 of these, so that's all you need. And now we're attaching it to the end peg, the 4th from the top, and go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself. We are going to take this off our loom and set it aside to add to a body later. Again, you'll have to pause the video to make the second one. Now let's make the tail, taking a single rubber band coming from the first to the second peg for all 3 rows. Next, we're taking 2 single rubber bands on the sides from the second to the third peg, and in the center we're taking 3 single rubber bands from the second to the third peg. And let's continue in the center row with 2 single rubber bands. We'll do that twice with 2 single rubber bands. So we're on the 5th peg from the top in the center. And now we're taking a single rubber band and we're coming down 3 times. Single, twice, and 3rd time. Let's do it on the side pegs now with a single rubber band. Coming down once, twice, and 3 times. And repeat on the other side with a single rubber band coming down 3 times. That's what you should have. Now taking your single gray, and we're looping it from the side peg to the very tip center. Repeat on the other side, and that's what you should have. Taking 2 single rubber bands, we're coming from the center tip where all the rubber bands met, and we're coming down once with 2 single rubber bands, and now taking a single, and we're going to cap the end peg by looping it. I'm looping it 4 times. Let's put some holding rubber bands, taking a single, twist, double it, and we are coming diagonally from the first to the second peg and just keep going down, single, twist, double for a holding rubber band. And you can create the triangle if you want, you don't have to. Single, twist, double, just coming down our tail. So far I have a total of 4 holding rubber bands, single we doubled. And this here, the last one, near the tip of our tail, I'm going to try to loop it a total of 3 times. So stretch it out, and I'm looping it 3 times. If you can't do 3, go ahead and do 2. So I have 5 holding rubber bands. Now go under the cap band, grab the bottom 2 bands, and loop up, onto itself. The next peg, grab the top single carefully and loop up and onto itself. Reach in, grab the next top single and loop up and onto itself, and just continue the last single rubber band. And now let's do the sides. Grabbing that single and loop up. Just continue all the way to the first peg. I'm doing my other side now, same thing. Reaching in. And if there's any tension, just release it by following your hook around the peg. Let's do the center. There's our tail. Let's take it off the loom, and you're going to need a holding hook or a pencil or something like that to hold our tail together until we add it to our body later. So there's our tail. Now let's make the top of the mouth, taking 2 single rubber bands. I'm coming from the first to the second peg for each row with 2 single rubber bands. And let's come down once more on the sides with 2 single rubber bands and closing it up once again with 2 single rubber bands from the third to the center 4th peg. Push it down. Let's close up the top of the mouth with 2 single rubber bands down the center to the 4th peg and push it down. Don't let it overlap. Taking a single rubber band, and we're going to cap the 4th center peg 4 times. I'm taking 2 single holding rubber bands. I'm creating a triangle on the second peg on each row, like that, creating your triangle. And I'm going to add nostrils, and it's going to be not very prominent. So I'm taking a single rubber band and looping it 4 times on my hook. Taking another single, looping it once again 3 times to create 4 loops on my hook, like the first one. Taking a single rubber band, and I'm getting the nostrils right onto my single, and I'm looping it from the 3rd peg to the 3rd peg across. And split it out. Now taking my teeth, put your hook through the loops and adding it on these 4 pegs for his teeth. So you'll add a total of 4 teeth. Now go under the cap band, grab the top 2 single and loop up and onto itself. It should go up the center. Reach back in, grab the next top 2 and loop up and onto itself, and mine should be going to the right side. Reach back in, grab the last 2 singles and looping it up. Now I'm doing the sides. You can do any row you want. It's all the same. It's not connecting at the end. So I'm doing my sides first. And finally the center of my top of my mouth. Taking the tips off. Don't tape the end, the first peg off yet. And we're going to put it on a holding hook. To add to our face later, I'm going under, so the top of my mouth will flip the right way to add to my face. So there's the top of my mouth, and you can pull out the nostrils later. It's not very prominent, so there's the top of his mouth. Let's make the bottom of the mouth, taking 2 single rubber bands coming from the first to the second peg on both sides. Taking a single rubber band coming from the second to the third peg in the center, and repeat on the other side, like that. Taking 2 single rubber bands coming from the second to the third peg for both sides, and closing it off with 2 single rubber bands from the third to the fourth center peg. And adding a little color for my tongue, adding from the third peg to the fourth peg in the center, taking a single, and we're going to cap the fourth peg 4 times. Now taking a single, twist, double, or holding rubber band from the second peg to the second peg, and one more, single, twist, double, from the third peg to the third peg. Let's add our last set of teeth, get it on our hook, the loops on a hook, and then attaching it on the 4 pegs, the third and the second and the third pegs on both sides. Go under the cap band now, grab the top 2 single red rubber bands and loop up and onto itself. Let's go in the third center peg, grab the top single and loop up and onto itself, and lastly the last single and loop up to the other side. So your center peg is done. Go under the cap band, grab the top 2, and I'm looping it right onto itself. Go in, grab the bottom 2 and loop up and onto itself. Now finish either side. I'm doing my right first, just reach in, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and looping it up and onto itself. Finish the other side. Now take it off the loom, don't take these off. We're going to put it on a holding hook to attach to our face later. So there's the bottom of our mouth. Let's make our baby T-Rex. Taking 2 single rubber bands coming from the first to the second peg in the center, taking 2, we're just using 2 right now, from the first to the first peg diagonally, and repeat on both sides. Coming down with 2 single rubber bands on the sides 1 time, and we'll close it off from the second to the third peg for both sides. Close up the face with 2 single rubber bands from the second to the third peg, and make sure you push that down, don't let it overlap. Now taking a single rubber band from the third center to the side third with 3 single rubber bands, we're making the neck thicker, taking it from the center third to the center fourth peg, coming down with a single rubber band for the neck for this third to the fourth peg. Let's do the body, taking 2 single rubber bands. We're coming from the center fourth to the side fourth and repeat for both sides. And we'll come down 3 times with 2 single rubber bands for both sides. Close up our body with 2 single rubber bands coming from the side to the center diagonally, and repeat on the other side. Come down the center of our body. I'm taking 2 single rubber bands coming from the neck down once inside the body, and let's take 3 single rubber bands to make his body a little thicker, and come right down the center. I'm coming down twice with 3 single rubber bands, and I'll just come down the last one with 2 single rubber bands. You can do whatever you want. Let's cap the end peg there with a single rubber band by looping it 4 times, like that. And make sure this doesn't overlap. It's going to be hard to reach in there. Let's attach the tail, taking your tail, and we are going to attach it on the bottom 3 pegs. So there should be 2 single rubber bands per peg. Make sure you get it on those 3 bottom pegs. So our tail is attached. Let's put some holding rubber bands, taking 2 single rubber bands, and I'm putting it on the chest area, creating a triangle. 2 more single rubber bands in the belly area right there. Taking a single, and we're going to twist double, covering the neck area here from the 3rd peg to the 3rd peg. Like that. And let's add the hind legs, and we're attaching it on the 1st and the 2nd peg for both sides. Taking your hook, there should be 4 rubber bands per loop, and attaching it to the 1st peg and the 2nd peg on both sides. Make sure the center of our leg is not twisted. Repeat on the other side. Make sure you grab the hind legs, put your hook through the loops, and attaching it on the 1st and the 2nd peg at the bottom of his body. Now, this is the tricky part. We're going to go under the tail and under the cap band, grab the top 2 bands, and we are going to loop up, and it should go to the center. Reach in, grab the next top 2, and looping it up and onto itself. Mine's going to the right. Reach back in, grabbing the last bottom 2 bands, and mine should be going to the left and looping it up and onto itself, like that. And now we'll go loop up to the peg before our neck rubber band, the single. So reach in all the way to the side peg, grab the bottom 2 bands, and loop up and onto itself, and continue up to the 4th peg from the top. Just repeat on the other side. Go in, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, and loop up and onto itself, just the bottom 2 bands, and stopping the 4th peg from this top on the side. Now we're taking the front arms, taking a hook, put it through the loops. There should be 4 rubber bands on the loop. Reach in the shoulder peg, grab the top 2 single bands, pull it up, get our arms onto those rubber bands and looping it up to the center peg. Repeat for the other arm, taking your hook, put it through the loops, grabbing the top 2 single for our shoulder, getting our arm onto our rubber bands and looping it up. Now come up the center of the body, reaching in, grabbing the bottom 3 bands, and lastly the bottom 2, however many you put on there. Let's do the side of our neck, reaching on the side, grabbing the single, and continue to the chin peg, and repeat on the other side, only grabbing the bottom single. Now reach in the center 4th, grabbing the bottom 3 and loop up to the chin peg. There's lots of rubber bands. And looping it up onto the 3rd center peg. Now we're reaching in the 3rd center peg, and we want to grab the top 2 single, and it should go up to the 2nd center. Reach back in, grab the next 2 and the last 2, going to the side peg. So our chin is done. Let's add our eyes, making it black and red, taking a single black and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking a single red, twist, double it, and pulling the black right onto the red. Repeat for the other eye, taking a single black, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking a single red, twist, double. You can make your eye however you want, whatever color you want. So there are my 2 eyes. It's going on the head, so I'm taking a single gray. I'm getting my eyes right onto the gray rubber band, and I'm attaching it on the 1st peg to the 1st peg. Split out my eyes, push down the rubber bands on the 2nd pegs on each row. We can take off the neck peg right there, the 3rd pegs, push it down, and we are going to attach the bottom of the mouth, and I'm going to carefully take it off my hook. You don't have to do that. What you want to do is attach it to the 2nd peg on the side and the other side. So putting your hook through the loops, there should be 4, and I'm attaching it on the 2nd right peg, and the other side same thing. There should be 4 rubber bands, pulling it under the 3rd center peg and attaching the other side of my jaw onto the 2nd peg on the other side. So you attached it on the 2nd peg on the right and the 2nd peg on the left, and there should be 4 rubber bands on each, and just pulling it right underneath the 3rd peg in the center. You're not attaching anything there. For our bottom, now the top of our mouth, we're attaching it on the 2nd peg for each row, and there should be 4 single rubber bands for each. So taking it, and we are attaching it. I'm attaching the left one first, putting it on the 2nd peg from the top. Once again, the center, there should be 4 single rubber bands in each loop, attaching it to the center 2nd, and lastly the right 2nd peg. The top of my mouth is on, and it should look like that. Now I'm going to go in the side peg, grab the bottom 2 single rubber bands, and I'm going to loop up. Make sure you hold so it doesn't come off, and loop up and onto itself. And finish the side, reach in, grab the bottom 2 bands and loop up and onto itself to the center. That's where we're ending. On the other side, same thing, reach in, grabbing the bottom 2 bands. Just make sure your rubber bands does not come off the second peg. There's lots of rubber bands there. And finish up looping the side to the center peg. Lastly, reach in the center 2nd peg and loop the last 2 bands over up onto the center first peg, and that's where we'll do a slip knot, taking a single rubber band, put it on your hook, and pulling to tie off our creation. Make sure you don't pull it too tight to break your band. Let's take them off the loom. There's your baby T-Rex, and you want to kind of pull him. If there's any loose rubber bands, pull it into place. Pull his arms and his legs into place. The arm should be just right underneath him where we put it. You can fix his foot so it's facing the right direction for you. And tuck in the charm string. He stands up pretty well. So there's your baby T-Rex. I hope you like him. Thanks for watching.